state regime media known as Fox was collapsing on air last night after it was obvious that Donald Trump was totally capitulating to Russia, as the No Kings protests clearly set the record for the largest peaceful demonstration in the history of the United States. And as Donald Trump continues to crash the economy and has his approval numbers are absolutely plummeting below 37%. So how is Fox going to try to cover this up for Donald Trump? Let me show you their propaganda strategy. Let's expose it. But they were definitely like collapsing last night on air. You had Hannity bring on Lindsey Graham and Senator Marino, these MAGA Republican Congress members, and Hannity floats the idea of turning Venezuela into the 51st state. Yep, they got to do the 51st state thing. Here, play this clip.
I had a chat with you this weekend, and I thought you had a pretty darn good idea, and you said you were going to share it with the president. I want to know if you did, and that is this opposition leader in Venezuela that won the Nobel Prize that said it really deserved to go to Donald Trump. Sounds like a pretty good leader to me for the people of Venezuela, and the end of narco-terrorism and a better relationship with the U.S. Or if they choose maybe the 51st state, I don't know.
Sounds good to me.
Then shout out to my friend Dan Coe, who was on Fox, and he brought up, Donald Trump's out there posting videos of himself defecating on peaceful protesters. And then the Fox host was like, oh, I don't know what to do. Great work, Dan, who, by the way, is running for Congress. Here, play this clip.
Dan, welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So are you buying what Karine Jean-Pierre is selling?
Look, in terms of the Democratic Party, this weekend was a good analogy. I saw Democrats, Republicans, independents who are protesting in the millions against a president who is trying to silence us. And the analogy was apt when the president uploaded a video of himself in a king hat.
So Dan, are you going to answer the question?
Yes, I will, but please give me a moment. Literally defecating on people exercising their right to free speech.
I don't think it was literally.
A constitutional right.
Then Hannity brings on MAGA's darling, George Santos, coming off his commutation from Donald Trump after stealing people's credit cards, identities, taking Republican donor money, and buying himself plastic surgeries and clothes and things for his home. He's back on Hannity. Nothing says MAGA like George Santos. Here, play this clip.
We've never spoken before. You may not know this, but at one point you were my congressman. I lived in Oyster Bay.
Oh, Sean, I'm very aware. Center Island, that was where you lived. And thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
To a former constituent. So, and again, I owe you an apology, Sean. I owe the American people an apology, but most importantly, constituents. And I know you were one of them, and it's a pleasure to be with you tonight.
Then bring you MAGA Republican Senator Marino. He goes on Fox and he then calls the president of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, moronic. And they say, oh, he's a moronic leader and that this is going very bad for Colombia. Why? Because the president of Colombia called out Donald Trump for engaging in war crimes by blowing up fishing ships in the Caribbean and killing innocent Colombian fishermen. These MAGA Republican senators are just the most pathetic, vile humans, aren't they? Here, play this clip.
The good news, Sean, is that in Colombia, the people support America. America supports the people of Colombia. They just have a moronic leader in charge right now. But there's an election next year, and I think that's going to go very differently, and our relationship with Colombia will be back on track after this guy's gone.
More from Senator Marino right here, and he again goes on to try to defame the president of Colombia, saying that he supports the cartels, and and by the way, Gustavo Petro has done a good job actually trying to stop the cartels in Colombia. It's nothing that's perfect, but if you look at the past history in Colombia, this has been important progress. But now, because he called out Donald Trump for war crimes, then you have the MAGA Republican senators going after him. Here, play this clip.
You're exactly right. And what we have in Colombia is a president that got elected thanks to the help of drug cartels. We're going to continue to investigate that. In fact, we're going to turbocharge that investigation. In the meantime, we're going to put him and his extended family and enablers on the OFAC list. And we're going to designate additional cartels in Colombia as foreign terrorist organizations. Because what President Trump will not put up with is countries that send us poison to kill our citizens.
Okay, more fake testosterone. fake macho man Lindsey Graham, because he knows that Donald Trump has capitulated to Putin, right? He knows Trump's a Putin bootlicker. Hey, Lindsey, what happened to your plan of putting Putin on the American terrorist list? Oh, Donald Trump didn't want to do that. And now he's talking about building freaking bridges and tunnels from Russia to Alaska. So now here you go. Trump's going to take Maduro down. All right, Lindsey, you tough guy, Lindsey. What an idiot. Here, play this clip.
He's a narco-terrorist, drug dealer, illegitimate president, and Trump is going to set the conditions to take him down.
Then you have MAGA Mike Johnson here defaming the No Kings protest. Look at what these people stand for. They hate America. This is a hate America event. As we said on the MeidasTouch account, Johnson is against everything this country stands for, and his comments show how truly anti-American and how out of touch he is. Here, play this clip.
The Young Communist League of New York and all the other radical groups, they're out there championing that issue. Now, listen to these people's own language, Sean, what they stand for. It is completely the opposite of what America was founded upon. They don't like living here. They don't like capitalism or the free enterprise system. They don't like the founding principles of the country, individual freedom and limited government and the rule of law and peace through strength and fiscal responsibility, free markets, human dignity. They're against all of that.
By the way, the latest Gallup poll that just came out shows that by a +7 margin, Americans identify as Democrat over Republican right now, precisely because the Republican Party is an extremist fascist party right now that hates America, is invading our streets with the United States military, and American people absolutely hate it. Back to MAGA, and destroying the economy. Things are far less affordable, ripping away people's healthcare, but I digress. MAGA Mike over here, again attacking the No Kings protest. Play this clip.
Yeah, Sean, look, we're seeing a moment of real clarity. The American people can see exactly what is going on right here. These rallies we described as the Hate America rallies because there is no better description. Look at who was involved. Chuck Schumer and the Senate Democrats went out there to participate. They stood arm in arm, side by side, with some of the most radical groups that have ever assembled on U.S. soil. They openly advertised that they were co-sponsored. They were Soros-funded, and they were co-sponsored by the Communist Party USA, the Young Communist League of New York, and all the other radical groups.
Now here's Jesse Waters, who whines that his mom attended a No Kings protest. Yeah, because you have a good mom, Jesse, who somehow brought you into this world, and she warned you specifically about this behavior, about spreading conspiracies for money. It's exactly what you did. You're a disappointment to your mother, Jesse. Here, play this clip.
No Kings was a who's who of people with TDS. Even my mom was there.
Now, going back to Greg Gutfeld right here, here's what he's got to say. Let's play it.
I think the part of it is that he knows he's not getting props for his effectiveness for the things that he's done. So he has to kind of resort to this spotlight chasing. He's pretending that he's like this scrappy underdog, but he really is an elite overdog that hasn't done anything of any difference or value for California, so he has to pick fights.
Jessica Tarlov schooling everybody, including Greg Gutfeld on this panel. Let's play it.
Listen, they're just playing around. I think it's totally fine and kind of innocuous at this point. You know, Rogan has pulled a lot of comedians to the Austin area. Some of them don't like it as much as they expected to. Shane Gillis was very funny about it, how he had a blackout for 3 days. And he's like, I left New York City for this. But, you know, the economy did go from, in California, it was the 6th biggest in the world for Gavin Newsom, and now it's the 4th biggest, which does seem like a change in the positive direction. And I can't do the imitation of his voice like Rogan, but yeah, Fortune 500 companies are headquartered there. Is the weather part of it? Sure. Can you get top talent to want to come and live in a lot of places across California? Sure. Are there issues? Homelessness, crime? Yes. Is it getting better, trending in the right direction? For sure. So I think, you know, Gavin Newsom, you've had him on. He did that debate with DeSantis on Sean's show. he can defend himself pretty well. People, I think, underestimate how wonky he is, and he always has a stat for it. So, if Rogan wants to have the conversation, great.
Here's what Jody Ernst, Mattergorn Republican senator from Iowa, has to say right here. Again, she's like, oh, look at all of these signs. Did George Soros make the signs? Here, play this clip.
Yes, thank you, Harris. I think it is extremely important that we look at who is funding these protests. We have to get to the bottom of this. It is a much larger organization. It could be the usual suspect, of course, George Soros. But what we have seen in the past, of course, is threat to local governments and property. And so we do need to make sure that these are safe protests.
More from Greg Gutfeld over here. Just ridiculous. Here, play this clip.
I don't think you can measure. I know CNN will come up with it. Measure a stat for authoritarianism. It's gone up 137% since 2023. But right now, you can't. If you could measure authoritarianism, as Jesse points out, shutting down schools, parks, and speech would make Joe Biden the king of kings. But you're not going to measure that.
Then you have Joni Ernst referring to the fact that it's almost 50 people, almost 50 Palestinians have died in Gaza. Hamas has taken control. Israel wants to rebuild settlements in Gaza. They're accusing Hamas of violations. Hamas says Israel violated. Meanwhile, Palestinians are dying. Israel's bombing Lebanon. There's not even a ceasefire, and it was a fraudulent ceasefire. But here's what Joni Ernst has to say. Pathetic. Here, play this clip.
Yes, it absolutely is. And thank heavens we do have a president of peace, Donald Trump. He has led to this extraordinary moment in time where we now have a fragile ceasefire, but a ceasefire nonetheless between Hamas and Israel. So we need to continue pressing forward. Hamas will continue to disrupt. I mean, we should know that and expect that, but we must be strong through this to bring peace to the region. So again, thanks heavens we have the right people that are leading this movement. We do need the Arab nations, particularly those that have been engaged in the Abraham Accords, to come forward and provide the necessary manpower in Gaza to keep the peace. We need to lean on these Arab countries to do the right thing. If they want peace, they need to be involved.
And that's what's going on with MAGA right now. You got to call this behavior out, which we'll do all the time here on the MeidasTouch Network. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe and help us get to 6 million subscribers. How pathetic.
New Meidas merch. Head to store.meidastouch.com today and get yourself the best pro-democracy gear and show your support. That's store.meidastouch.com.